Hello,
Absolutely.
everyone. What?
Your lighting is going to be absolutely horrid. You're all in shadow. You can't see you.
Hello, everyone. Guess who's going on a trip together? We
Just tonight.
are, no, me and my brother Bryce. We are about to head out to the bus to then go to the airport to fly to Providence, Rhode Island for the 2024 Necronomicon, which is a horror and weird fiction convention that happens every 2 years. It mostly focuses around books, but there is a significant chunk around movies, and then video games kind of come into play a little bit as well. But we are going together. Yay, so exciting. We are about to head out, so I just wanted to start this vlog. You will catch us in a little bit. We made it! Yay! So we are in Providence, Rhode Island now. Let me see, there he is. The bestie, the brother, say hi. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we made it. This is actually Thursday now. Also, if you notice that I look like I'm looking at I'm not looking at the camera when I talk to you, that is because I'm doing this on my phone. And I keep forgetting that the camera's, like, the actual camera is, like, right here, and I keep wanting to look at the screen. I brought my small, old camera to film the vlog on. And I apparently don't have a memory card in there. I brought it, I charged it, I was getting ready. I was just gonna check to see if I needed to clear out any old videos and stuff. And there's no memory card, so I can't film off of that, obviously. I could go buy a new memory card, but I don't want to spend the money on that because I want to save as much of my budget as I can for the convention. So it is Thursday morning, first day of the convention. We made it in really late last night, like, I don't know, 11:30, fake Rhode Island time. Bryce calls it fake time because we're used to Central Time. And so, yeah, we made it in then, and then just kind of unpacked a little bit, and then went to bed. So now it is the morning, and first of all, got my earrings, got some fun nails. Our first plan, actually, the convention, the registration, it doesn't start until noon, and it is about 9 o'clock, a little after 9. There is a anthropology museum on the Brown University that is about 20 minutes away from our hotel. So we are planning on walking down there. It opens at 10, so we're gonna, I think, putz around here for a little bit, and then maybe head over there a little early just to kind of, you know, walk and see some things, and then we're gonna go in there. It's free too, which is pretty awesome. So a 20-minute walk and a free thing to keep us entertained, and it's a museum, so we're gonna go check that out, and then we'll head over to the convention, which is really close to our hotel, just across the street and down the block a little ways. And then we're gonna go register and then check out what's going on. Today is a little bit of a lighter day for the convention schedule. Like I said, it doesn't open until noon, like for registration, and then I think it's a few hours later before some of the, like, programming starts. But then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's like it starts at 8 and goes through the night, actually. Starts at 8 in the morning, and then it looks like there's stuff like pretty late at night for most of the days. But we are gonna, I think, head out here soon and go check out that museum. is still Thursday. It's a little after 2 o'clock. We are kind of in between things right now. So in the morning, right away, we grabbed breakfast just at the hotel. Luckily, they have complimentary breakfast, which I love because that means we don't need to buy it. So we grabbed that. Then we went down to that anthropology museum that is on Brown University's campus. And then it ended up being a lot smaller than what we had anticipated. It was just one room, but it was about African art made in starting from like the 60s to maybe about the 90s. It was really interesting though, despite it only being one room and really small, it was really nice. And me and Bryce were talking that we kind of liked that it was smaller, because then that meant like we didn't feel as rushed through it. We could really just kind of take our time like reading each of the plaques and everything about each of the pieces. It was really cool. And then we went to a bookstore. I knew that there was a bookstore here that was all horror and weird fiction, and that's kind of all that it is. Mostly horror, but there's some sci-fi fantasy in there as well. I did not realize, I knew that it was here, so I didn't really think about Googling like what exactly it was until we got here. So then we had some time to kill still, because we didn't realize how short the museum was going to be. So then I Googled it, still really close by, within walking distance, so we walked there. It is actually like the H.P. Lovecraft like arts and sciences bookstore that puts on Necronomicon every 2 years. I didn't realize that they were the people that in charge of it until I was Googling it, saw that that was the bookstore that I was trying to find. So we went there. It was really cool. Of course, I did pick up a couple of books. One was a new release that I knew I was going to pick up no matter what, which is like basically the first time that I saw it while out here. And then two other books that I picked up were ones that I've never heard of. It seemed like a lot of indie published books, which was really cool. But they were two novellas, and I read the back and I was just like, I have to have these. So the first one is a new release that is I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. No need to talk about this for two reasons. A, I don't actually know what it's about, aside from the fact that the title indicates it's like a slasher kind of book, and it's by Stephen Graham Jones, and I don't need to know more than that. And I kind of want to go into this one blind. No real particular reason, I just have this like feeling that I want to go into it not really knowing what it's about. So there's that one. And then the other two, again, they're both novellas. First one is House of Rot by Danger Slatter. I'm just going to read you the backs of these. It says, the pink mold growing on the walls isn't the worst thing about Elena and Miles' brand new fixer-upper. There's also the inexplicable footsteps in the night, the sealed-over windows and doors, the neighbor that hears their screams but can't be bothered to help. Soon there's no leaving at all, no hope of cleaning, and that encroaching mold, it's practically become a second skin. Welcome to the House of Rot, you're never getting out. So there is that one. And then the third one, when I bought this, the cashier said that they absolutely loved it. And then they pointed to the other cashier and said that she had literally gotten hit by a car because she was trying to walk and read at the same time. So that is One Hand to Hold, One Hand to Carve by M. Shaw. This says, two halves of a human cadaver wake up on a cold morgue slab. The two distinct personalities, left and right, remember nothing of their previous life as a singular body. Bound by necessity to carve out an existence on the fringes of society, the two brothers have very different ideas of the life they want. Their impending schism will lead each other on his own frightening path, one forward to a new life, one backward to the origin of their struggle. One Hand to Hold, One Hand to Carve is a weird and surreal body horror journey that redefines familial bonds and what it means to be an individual. So there is that one. So these are the three books out of my who knows how big of a haul so far. And then Bryce, you had gotten a couple, 100. I don't know if I can afford that, but you had gotten a couple as well. What did you get?
Never Whistle at Night. It's a collection of stories, celebration of indigenous people's survival, imagination, and a glorious reveling in all the things an ill-advised whistle might summon.
Ooh.
So it's like...
It's indigenous
horror, basically.
anthology.
Short stories.
Yeah, nice.
And then It Came from the Closet. 25 contemporary queer and trans writers reflect on the horror films that shaped them and shook them, from Hitchcock to Halloween to Hereditary. So
Nice, fun. So we already got quite a haul. And then after that, I'm gonna put you back up here. I'll hide you again, Bryce, so you don't have to feel weird being on the camera. So then after that, what did we do after that? Oh, we went and registered. So we got our booklet and everything for the convention, and nothing is really starting until a little bit later. Today it's pretty slow, but then there is a welcome ceremony at 5, I think, and then kind of a block party type of a thing that we're gonna check out later in the evening. Then after that, we did go to an art gallery, which happened to be literally right next to the bookstore. So we registered, and then we went back to basically the same location that we were. Went through the art gallery. It was again really small, one room, but it was pretty cool. I liked it. And then we got some coffee and kind of planned out which panels and which movies and things that we're wanting to go see kind of when. Plan that out, and now we're back here just kind of hanging out while we wait for the welcome ceremony to begin. We decided to just come back to the hotel for a little while because both of us, when we woke up this morning, we were still really exhausted from traveling. So we're just gonna take a little bit of a break, and then we'll go to the welcome ceremony. What?
pants.
Yeah, they needed to dry. Okay, I'm filming.
I know, but I'm in the mood.
No. Oh, yes. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Hello. It is Friday evening. We are actually done with the con for today. We still have 2 more days, Saturday and Sunday, but for today we are done. We had a pretty packed day. We went to 4 panels, stopped at the vendor hall, and then there was like a theater performance in the evening that we just got back from. So in terms of the panels in the morning, we started out with one that kind of talks about like the reader as a collaborator in works, and how authors sometimes leave space for interpretation for the reader to do, and kind of how the reader sometimes has to work to get the meaning out of a piece, but also how that can sometimes lead to interpretations of pieces that maybe the author didn't intend. And it was just kind of an interesting conversation that the panelists had of when do you want that? Who do you write for? Like, do you write for yourself? Do you write for an intended reader? How it's virtually impossible to write for the masses and still be happy with your work to some extent, you know, how some people prefer to write for the masses, but how often in weird fiction, because it's kind of very niche and genre focused, that's very hard to do. So that one was very interesting. Sorry, I'm a bit shaky right now. And then my arm is like weirdly in the thing, but this is the best angle that I can find right now with it being dark out. Anyway, and then after that, we went to a panel on weird fiction in translation and kind of a discussion on how it's virtually impossible to have a completely accurate translation, how translation often happens where it's not a direct word for word translation. It's more of an emotional and almost vibe type of translation, because if you do word for word, then the translators often lose the emotion and the full intent of the story. So that was really interesting, and just also a really interesting discussion of how here in America, it seems to be like you go into a bookstore and 99% of the books are English authors, and then 1% is like a works in translation, whereas you go abroad and it could be like 50% are works in the native language and 50% are works in English. And so it was just an interesting discussion on that, and kind of how oftentimes with certain languages, the translators have to work and make sure that like the cultural significance of certain aspects of the story get carried through the translation, whether that means that the translator needs to kind of do some extra work with placing context. It kind of really depends. So that was really interesting. Then after that, we went to lunch at just a little cafe that was really close nearby. And then we went to the vendor hall, which I forgot to take video of. We actually went back to the vendor hall twice, and both times I forgot to take video, but I will tell you that I did pick up 2 books and then some other fun goodies, and then Bryce picked up a few things as well. So both the books that I picked up are actually short story collections. I've never heard of the authors, but they both really intrigued me, and that's kind of a big thing that I wanted to do while here. I wanted to find works that I had never heard of. And so the first one is a pretty short collection of short stories. Try to make sure it's in the frame here. It's The Stay Awake Men and Other Unstable Entities, stories by Matthew M. Bartlett. And it's just a little sneak peek of some of the stories. It says a supermarket meat manager carves a doorway to a parallel world of bloody horror. A fading magician encounters his former mentor performing a terrifying new act. A partygoer ducks out early and is pursued by a creature bent on cruel malevolence. Winged creatures of unknown origin terrorize a small town. A disgruntled employee works his dark magic on a new breed of middle managers. A radio stunt shatters the sanity of a DJ, and a father talks his young daughter through a cataclysmic apocalypse. So that is that one. And then I also picked up a short story collection that is a bit thicker by Laird Barron. Not a Speck of Light is what the collection is called, and he is actually a Bram Stoker award-winning author, which is very exciting because again I want to pick up more kind of award-winning pieces. This one in particular is not the piece that won the award, but the author is a Bram Stoker award winner. So it says, here's just a glimmer of what to expect. Somewhere in Alaska, a middle-aged woman confronts a terrifying creature that haunts disaster sites. Jessica Mace, professional final girl, is dispatched to an Adirondacks compound to steal a formula from a murderous tech billionaire. When a couple and their faithful dog move into the country, they are ensnared in the malevolent designs of a former scream queen. A successful wildlife photographer traces his nervous breakdown to sinister childhood games, Bring a Flash But Light, and a book of matches. Where there's going, there's not a speck of light. And I think this one is signed, actually. There's like a signed book plate that I can add in to the book as well. And then I'm gonna flip the camera and show you guys some of the things that I got. So this poster was free. Me and Bryce got one each, just celebrating the 2024 Necronomicon. And then I got this art print as well. There's like a glare here. I just liked kind of the old timey witch and then the pretty flowers. I thought this was fun. Looking forward to adding it to my wall of art. And then I got this cryptid tea towel, which I'm very excited about. I just think it's so cute. And then there is a shirt for the con. I think each year there's a new poster, but also a new piece of art for the shirt. And then I got a couple of pretty earrings too. These are just some moons, and then little copper bats, which I thought were super cute. Holy crap, I almost forgot. I also got 2 bookmarks. I got this pretty guy, and they're like wood. They're made out of like wood. So that guy, and then this cute guy. Very excited about them. Bryce got some goodies too.
Yeah, I got 4 bookmarks.
Yeah, he went ham on the bookmarks.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? We're gonna get some actual bookmarks.
So pretty lit. I almost got this one. Oh, this one. I almost got this one.
I decided I needed another wood carving. No, not wood carving. Wood print. That's the word.
It's pretty cool.
I'm a sucker for those. I want to say it's a actual novel, but it's like continuation of one of the ones that. Wait, you got one of those, right?
Yeah, we think it's a
Yeah.
continuation of one of the short stories
Yeah,
here.
because it's like deals with like the radio tower, and it seems like it's a bit more in depth with that one. And this one is also a collection of short stories. It seems like it kind of goes all over the place.
Yeah, so that there's a table with works by the guest of honor, and Cherie Renee Thomas is one of them and edited that collection of short stories. She is. She's on both.
Oh, yeah.
And then let's zoom in.
Gross.
It's a little fox.
Yeah. Some drip.
Pretty cool. Some drip.
Gotta get the Gen Zs.
Nice. Yeah, I got bringing the Gen Zs to my channel. Okay, and then after the vendor hall, we had 2 more panels that we went to. The first one being impossible architecture that kind of is used in weird fiction to kind of tell the characters that you don't belong in this location. And we were specifically excited to go to that panel because you do belong, and the location really, really, really wants you to stay forever. Exactly. And we were particularly excited to go to that panel because Pure Nessie was mentioned in the summary, which is a favorite book of mine, and I know Bryce really liked it as well. And then House of Leaves was also mentioned, and that is a book that I have tried to start reading, and I realized very quickly I was not in the correct mindset and ready to work as hard as that book asks you to. So I've put it as a soft DNF. I do intend to go back to it at some point. But yeah, we went to that panel, and it's basically it was more of a discussion with the writers of how they go about making the setting a character, and kind of settings that they use they've come across in their real life, and how they pull it into their writing, and kind of weird liminal spaces that they've come across, things like that. And then after that, there was a panel on the Weird West, which is like kind of combining a Wild West as a genre and weird as a genre, and kind of the bridge between the two, and how Weird West is now kind of a subgenre of both weird and horror as well as Wild West fiction. So that was pretty interesting. They tried to gear it more towards tabletop games, because that is a huge genre and running theme in tabletop games, but they did steer quite a bit into fiction as well. But that was quite interesting. Just kind of a discussion on how the Weird West genre got started, how it got started in fiction as well as tabletop games, and then how there seems to be a bit of a different way that certain writers approach incorporating the Western setting. Either some choose to just ignore the more ugly sides of Western history, or they really tried to showcase how there was, obviously a lot of racism, a lot of violence against everybody that was not a white man, and how, that is also important to focus on because that was the reality of the Wild West. And there we got into some discussion on American folklore as well as Native American folklore, and how, they wish that some of that got incorporated more into not only Weird West fiction, but also just how that type of folklore should be explored more in general, because everybody explores, Greek mythology, ancient Egyptian mythology, but there's not a lot of exploration of Native American and American folklore. So that was pretty interesting. Then we went to dinner at a pizza place that actually was kind of partnered with the convention. So we each got a free slice of pizza, and that was pretty good. It was kind of a cool, like, arcade bar type of a place. And then we went back to the convention because there was a radio theater performance of The Shunned House, which was originally an H.P. Lovecraft story and has been since modified into kind of a play. And we both thought that it was going to be like, I guess, your typical theater performance. We didn't recognize, even though it said on the thing that it was performed by a radio theater group, we didn't recognize the fact that, that means it's going to be a radio theater performance. But it was really, really cool. They did a really great job. They had 4 people up there playing all of the characters, which was quite interesting, and they managed to make each of them very distinct, I thought. And then they had a pianist who was kind of playing the background ambiance music, and then occasionally they would have the crowd kind of join in to give like sound effects and everything, and it was really, really fun. I got really drawn into it. The actors were phenomenal. Honestly, they were really good. And yeah, it was just a great time. It was really, really crowded. I think the only complaint that me and Bryce both had was that because it was an hour-and-a-half long performance, my back started to really hurt because it was so cramped and crowded. You couldn't really relax into your seat so much because you were really squished in there. So we almost wanted an intermission at some point, just simply so that I wanted to stand up and stretch out my back for a minute or two. But other than that, that was really our only complaint. Otherwise, it was a lot of fun. So that was our day for the convention. It was pretty fairly busy. I felt like we, had quite a bit that we were trying to get to and go see. I think tomorrow is similarly busy. I think we also have maybe 4 panels tomorrow that we wanted to go to. And there's also 2 films that we were wanting to see in the evening. One is shorter, and then one is kind of like a normal length film. But we're gonna go check that out. But for now, I'm gonna go get ready for bed. again, Saturday evening, end of the day for the convention. Second to last day. Tomorrow is the last day of the convention, which I'm sad about, but we did have a good day today. Today we went to 3 panels, went to the art museum actually, and then also watched a couple of films. So first panel that we went to was right away in the morning. Actually, Bryce and I joked that it was Science Saturday because much of the panels all focused around science. The first one that we went to was on plants, and kind of how that is used in weird fiction and horror. Very interesting. That one was just really fun to sit and listen to. So on most of these panels, actually, there were quite a few scientists and then some authors that kind of have particular works that specialize in kind of the topic. So it was really interesting because oftentimes they would have like a moment where they're like, this is the only place I feel like I can tell this story, so I have to bring it up. And it's just really interesting kind of talking about how we really don't know nearly as much about plants as we think we do, and how that can make them quite creepy, and how they can be used as kind of a vehicle for horror in various different ways, as well as just how scary certain plants are, how there's some quite frightening trees and berry producing plants and things like that. It was just a lot of fun to listen to. And then after that we had quite a bit of a break. We didn't have any panels that we wanted to go to until after lunch. Yeah, so then after that we ended up going to the Museum of Art that's put on by the Rhode Island School of Design. And it was quite big. We actually didn't get through all of it in time before we had to go to lunch, but we saw, a lot of arts. There was a kind of chunk from the 1900s to present day. There was a group of students, high school students, that kind of have a little program that goes on with the Rhode Island School of Design, and they actually kind of curated a couple of rooms actually, which was really interesting to kind of read their little excerpts that they had, kind of as to why they picked certain pieces to be in the exhibit. So that was really interesting. And then I know we did start to touch on ancient Roman art, which was pretty cool, and then we ended up having to leave. So then we went to lunch, and then we had 2 panels right after that. So the first one was actually interesting because certain points, I think once a day, they actually have less of a panel and more of lectures from academic speakers. And so we were particularly interested in the ones going on today, because there were 2 that kind of shared a block of time. So they, one presented for half an hour, another presented for half an hour, and then there was time for questions afterwards. But it was on parasites. So there's 2 parasitologists. One was more in evolutionary biology, but a lot of her research was in parasitology. But the first one was a marine biologist, but he focuses on parasites in marine life. Specifically, his research is on parasites in shellfish, which was quite interesting, particularly being on the East Coast, and how a lot of economy is based around harvesting shellfish. So that was quite interesting. Very, very gross. He had some gross videos, and I don't know, man. I could never be in parasitology at all. I couldn't handle it. It would freak me out too much. Heightened levels of anxiety. And then the second lady, so she's basically an evolutionary biologist, and she kind of has gone into parasitology through her. Oh, the air conditioning just came on, so hopefully that is not too terribly loud. That kind of startled me. It's right behind me, of course. So she is also focused on parasites in the ocean. She does a lot of research with parasites in crabs. But it was all very, very fascinating, very sciencey, very fun to listen to, and you could tell that they were just having fun with the audience, because the audience was very reactive to certain things that they said or pictures or videos that they had. So that was fun. And then after that, we were on our way to our next panel, and we got stuck in the elevator. Most of the convention happens between two different hotels. They actually have a couple of other sites. Actually, the movies were at the Rhode Island School of Design, so we went there later, but then there's like a couple other places around, but most of the stuff happens between the two hotels. So we ended up going to the other hotel for the next panel. Most of the stuff at that hotel is on the 17th and 18th floors. So we were getting into the elevator, me and Bryce, with 5 other people to go up to the 17th floor, and we put in 17 and 18 because other people needed to go to 18, and the doors closed, and then the elevator just didn't want to move. And so we were kind of like, weird. So, pressing the buttons again to see if we could activate it. Didn't really work. And then we were able to get the doors open again because we're thinking, maybe it just needs to be kind of like reset or whatever. So we just open the doors. We wave at the people that are on the hallway. We have the doors closed again. And then the button panel just completely stops working. Can't get the doors back open. And at one point, I don't remember when this happened, it goes to a different floor, and then it didn't do anything after that. It like shuttered and stopped, and then the button panel stopped working. The guy that was closest to the panel had to like open up a different emergency thing to call, and then they're like, okay, press and hold the door open button for 10 seconds. And we tried that, didn't happen. Okay, press and hold a button to a different floor for 10 seconds. Tried that, nothing happened. And then the call ended. And we're like, excuse me, we're still stuck here. So we tried calling again, and then they're like, oh, yeah. So we have a maintenance person. We're trying to contact them to be sent over. We're gonna call you back with an ETA of when the maintenance person's gonna come. In the meantime, though, we're trying to get a hold of the hotel to see if they can fix it. And we're like, okay, so how long are we gonna be stuck in here? It turns out we were only stuck in there for about maybe 10 minutes. But it got really hot in there really fast. And it was just kind of like how long are we gonna be here? I don't know. But that was, an exciting thing, I guess, that happened. So then we did eventually get up to the 17th floor and went to our last panel, which was on kind of like nuclear bombs and how they can be integrated into weird fiction and horror. And I think Bryce and I thought that panel was okay. It just got very, very nihilistic, and it felt less of a focused panel, where there was like maybe, 7 people on that panel, and 4 of them did all of the talking. And Bryce and I, we showed up a little late, so we missed all of the introductions, but like normally you can tell who the moderator on the panel is, and we had no idea. By the end of the panel, we had no idea who the moderator was, because there was no sense of direction and no sense of like somebody guiding with questions this discussion. I don't know, so that one was a little I don't know. But then after that, we went and got dinner, and then we went to go see 2 movies that were being shown. One was a movie that I guess it was started to be created in like the 70s, and then the guy who was creating it, who had been creating it throughout his entire career, he had passed away before it was able to be finished. And then just recently, it had been picked back up by a company and finished, and is now viewable. It's called Primevals, and it was okay. It was very campy, pretty cheesy, but it's kind of funny because the audience would start laughing at certain things, and there were certain points where I was like, guys, why are we laughing at this? Like, I feel like they're doing a fairly good job of this, and it's pretty serious. But then there are other times where like I couldn't help but join in and laugh. But it was campy and it was fun, and it was a good time. And then the other one after that was called Saint Drogo, and that one was recently, within the last, I think they said it took them 3 years to produce it. It's done by a very, very small company of like 6 people. They did it with a $20,000 budget, and you would not think that it was that small of a budget because the production quality was just really well done. Special effects were really well done. It was definitely quite unsettling and creepy and very sad. It was a sad movie, and neither me or Bryce expected it to be that sad, but it was pretty good. So this is a very, very long update. But we had a great time today. Tomorrow is the last day of the con, which I am sad about, but we'll have a good time. But I'm gonna leave it off here. It is Sunday early evening, last day of the con, and we are basically wrapping up everything. We're gonna fly out tomorrow back home. So I'm gonna actually close out this vlog here. We did end up going to 3 panels today and then back to the bookstore because I definitely wanted to do a more in-depth perusal of the books and pick up a few more. And so today the panels that we went to was one on birds in weird fiction and horror, just kind of a discussion on how different birds are used through symbology, whether that be through the birds being kind of the monstrous horror themselves or being kind of an indicator of horror to come, and kind of how, you know, different cultures use birds in different ways. So that was pretty interesting. And then the second one was a panel discussing John Carpenter's Apocalypse trio. So if you've been watching some of my videos over the past month or so, you'll know that me and my brother had watched all 3 of the Apocalypse trilogy movies by John Carpenter. The first one being The Thing, and then The Prince of Darkness, and the last one being in The Mouth of Madness. And narratively, they're not linked. They're completely standalone stories in and of themselves, but thematically they're linked and considered a trilogy. And I will say that was a really interesting discussion. It definitely gave me a better appreciation for The Prince of Darkness, which was the movie out of the 3 that I liked the least. Like, I kind of at some point actively hated it, and didn't have nearly as good of a viewer experience as I did with the other 2. Specifically, I love The Thing the most, and then In the Mouth of Madness is just, it's good, but The Thing is definitely really great. And then I remember just getting really frustrated with The Prince of Darkness, but kind of their discussion of it made me realize some things that maybe I didn't catch right away. Definitely gave me a better appreciation for it. Then we went to lunch, and then the final panel that we went to for the convention was on kind of subterranean weird fiction. It went in a weird avenue that I wasn't quite expecting, where they talked a lot about conspiracy theories. They started talking where this idea in weird fiction and horror of like a hollow earth and things living underground, whether that be an entire civilization or an alien species or things like that, where that started and initially how that was 1800s or whatever. People thought that the earth was hollow, and then that was quickly debunked, but how weird fiction and horror authors kind of latched onto that as an idea, and how it has continued to be that way has changed a little bit in terms of how it's used due to kind of socio-political changes in the world. But yeah, there was a lot of talk about conspiracy theories because there are people that still think that that is actively like true. So it was an interesting convergence of the evolution of science, the creation of these conspiracy theories, and the use of kind of the underground in fiction. So that was quite interesting. And then after that, we did go to the bookstore, and I did happen to pick up 4 books. So you'll have seen in the B-roll beforehand, I have a total of 9 that I have picked up at this con. But I just, that was kind of my goal, was to find some really good horror books while I was here. So I'll kind of go through the 4 that I picked up. First one being Cuckoo by Gretchen Felker Martin. She did write another book, Manhunt, which I think is pretty popular. This one, I don't know if this one is before Manhunt or after Manhunt. It looks like this was written in 2022. This one seems pretty interesting. It says something evil is buried deep in the desert. It wants your body. It wears your skin. In the summer of 1995, 7 queer kids abandoned by their parents at a remote conversion camp came face to face with it. They survived, but at Camp Resolution, everybody leaves a different person. 16 years later, only the scarred and broken survivors of that terrible summer can put an end to the horror before it's too late. The fate of the world depends on it. So there's that one. Very excited about it. And then I picked up Lagoon by Nanita Okorafor. I've heard nothing but great things about this author. I haven't actually heard people talk about this book in particular. I've heard them talk about this author's other works, but again, nothing but great things. So I've been meaning to pick something up by them. And I stumbled across this one, and actually the cashier said that they absolutely love this book, and I actually had grabbed it from a section of the store that was filled with, or kind of curated with, their personal recommendations. So that's exciting. This basically deals with, I'm not going to read the whole back because it's kind of long, but it deals with like an alien invasion, and when it happens, like at the site of contact, there's these 3 people on this beach, and they end up undergoing some kind of transformation, and they are working, like they understand why the aliens are there, and the rest of the world does not, and the rest of the world is kind of generating their own dialogue about this and trying to create kind of their own narrative, whereas these 3 people, along with the aliens, are trying to kind of correct what was going on. And obviously this like falls into the weird, but the cashier was saying that it has a very hopeful tone to it, despite being about alien invasions and being weird. So there's that one. And then I had to pick up The Deep by Nick Cutter, because if you've watched my last few videos, you'll have noticed that I loved The Troop. This is Nick Cutter's other novel. Very, very excited to dive into this one. I'm really hoping I'm gonna love it as much as The Troop. This is an underwater horror novel. I'm not quite sure. Something happens where there's a plague, and people start forgetting things. And first it says it starts out as like small things, like forgetting where they left their keys, and then it starts growing where they forget how to drive and they forget the letters of the alphabet, and then their bodies start to forget how to like actually function. So it goes not just in like conscious thought, but just your body system as well. And then somewhere down under the ocean, a kind of cure is found. But then in order to like, study it and make sure that it doesn't have any weird side effects, they have to build a research lab under the water, and then other things start happening down there. So there's that one. And then the last one is a novella by Eric LaRocca. It says I have a bookmark. I didn't notice that at first. I stuck a bookmark in there. Exciting. So then the last one is by Eric LaRocca. It's We Can Never Leave This Place. It is a novella of his. It's a standalone one. A lot of his stuff that he's publishing recently is coming out in like collections. I have heard really good things about this one. I think I'm excited to read it because it sounds very interesting, and if I can remember correctly, Kayla at Books and Lala read this, and I'm remembering that she liked it, but maybe I'm wrong. But I'm excited for it, so I picked it up. But it says, when you're given a gift, something else gets taken away. A precocious young girl with an unusual imagination is sent on an odyssey into the depths of depravity. After her father dies violently, young Mara is surprised to find her mother welcoming a new guest into their home, claiming that he will protect them from the world of devastation and destruction outside their door. It is a harrowing portrait of inherited grief and familial trauma. Just Eric LaRocca is, I'm concerned for this man's brain, but I can't stop reading stuff that he writes. So there's that one. And so those are the 4 that I picked up. Again, I have a total of 9 that I'm very, very, very excited to have gotten my hands on and to explore. So then Bryce. All right, your turn. What did you pick up when you were at the store?
Got a bag.
A bag?
Wow.
Looks pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty nice, pretty exciting. What's in the bag? Because I know you picked up some other things.
I bought 3 books.
3 books.
The Cthulhu mythos. I was like, should I suppose read a little bit of what he made? Then Cartographers.
I have that book. I didn't realize
you
you picked that up. Yeah, we could do.
Yeah.
We've got a couple books now that we need to do a buddy read of.
Her father is like a great cartographer, and so he kind of ruined her reputation after an argument about an old cheap gas station highway map, and then he's found dead at his office in the New York Public Library with the map hidden in his desk, like the cheap map. And so then she kind of discovers that it's this somebody's going around killing everybody with the map, trying to destroy it, and then it's a journey of trying to figure out what it's all about.
Exciting.
And then I got Camp Damascus. It's nestled high up in the mountains of Camp Damascus, the self-proclaimed most effective gay conversion camp in the country. Here, a life free from sin awaits, but the secret behind that success is anything but holy. It's about the demons the queer community faces in this country, the price of keeping secrets, and finding the courage to burn it all down. So I think it's a newer one. I think it came out like last year or something. So.
Nice. Yeah,
this year. I don't remember.
I find it interesting that we both, because we had talked about when we first went, we both mentioned a conversion camp horror novel that we found interesting that we were thinking about when we came back picking up, and we both were talking about a completely different book. You were talking about that one, and I was talking about Cuckoo, and it's just funny that we didn't realize until just now. So, final thoughts on the convention. What was your favorite part? Was there anything that we didn't get to? If you guys watched the B-roll that I would have had earlier, you would have seen that I kind of flipped through the program a bit, and there was a lot that like we just couldn't get to. We didn't even go to the gaming centers to check that out. And then there's just a lot of panels happening at the same time. So, but we did a lot. Final thoughts, favorite things. What did you wish we got to that maybe we didn't?
I enjoyed it all. It was neat, interesting. Some more so than others, I suppose, but that's with anything, so. But, overall I enjoyed it.
Good. Did you have a favorite panel?
I enjoyed the Parasite one. I thought that was kind of interesting. Gives more of a realistic, or not realistic, real horror, I guess. That kind of, they were always like the truth is stranger than fiction type of a thing, and I found it interesting at least. And then again, it's an area of study that I've never really delved into, so.
I agree. It was pretty interesting. Was there anything that we didn't get to that maybe you were hoping we were going to?
No, I pretty much covered everything that I was interested in.
Nice. Any final thoughts for the people? Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. I really love this. So again, this happens every 2 years. So I could definitely see if Connor wants to go back in 2 years, because they do different panels every year. I don't think it's the same. I would be shocked if they did the same, because oftentimes I saw people so you get a pin each year, and I saw people with multiple pins, and I think it's like the pin is a different color every year. So there's plenty of people that go to every con or whatever every 2 years. So I could definitely see coming back here. No guarantee, but it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Definitely worth it if you like weird fiction and horror. If you just kind of want that kind of discussion element and you want to listen to people talk about it, I had a lot of fun. The only thing that we didn't get to that I would have been interested in was the mushroom walk, but we just didn't want to get up that early to go to it. That was this morning. That would have been cool. It's basically just a walk through a park led by somebody who's like head of the fungus association. I don't know what it's actually called here in Providence. Just kind of searching for mushrooms, and then they identify them and talk about them, and that would have been cool. And then there was a panel at the same time as another one that we were at that was on gender and weird fiction. That would have been interesting, as well as one on Emily Dickinson's poems that specifically deal with the occult and witches. That would have been kind of interesting to listen to, albeit I haven't read much of her, but I've read a little bit of her. I do actually have a collection of her poetry. I think it's like a complete collection of her poetry that I slowly, occasionally start to make my way through. But that would have been interesting and fun to go to. But honestly, like, I'm super happy with everything that we went to. I think some of my favorites that we got to, I found the John Carpenter one really interesting. I really liked the plants in weird fiction, just because it was a lot of fun listening to these huge plant nerd enthusiasts get really excited and talk about things. I thought that the radio theater performance was really fun, and I'm really glad that we got to experience that. It was just a good time. But yeah, I had a really great time. But we are gonna end the vlog here. Basically the only thing we're gonna do the rest of the night is get dinner and then just chill, because we are very tired. I feel like we've been very busy this whole time, which is good because that's what I wanted. but I'm tired now. So I'm gonna end this here. We will be flying back home tomorrow. But thank you so much for watching this. I hope you consider sticking around and subscribing if you haven't already. But as always, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!